Thank you, Network Center, for having us. We really appreciate the opportunity. Yes, it's true. I flew in from San Diego yesterday. Never really experienced snow quite like this before. So everywhere I go, I feel like I'm melting. I was actually at a Charger game on Sunday, and it was like 75 degrees out, and then here I am. So this is, it's been really exciting. But I guess where we'll start is my job at RingCentral is I'm a senior channel manager, and what I do is I work with companies like Network Center, and we help them fill a gap in a specific market. And in this case, it's business communications in a mobile world, or how do we help companies manage the complexities around BYOD. So when we deliver our solutions together, we're really helping companies like you manage the complexities of BYOD, but also help you improve business communications. And when we help customers like you improve business communications, you can leverage that as a competitive advantage. So that now you can help your customers, your companies make money, save money, and sometimes reduce your risk. And in some cases, all of the above. To kick things off, just to make sure that everybody understands what RingCentral does, we have a video. It's RingCentral in 1 minute and 20 seconds. So Pat, if we can go ahead and fire off that video.
Don't have time for maintenance, troubleshooting, or installing hardware that ties their phone system to one location. They need the flexibility to grow and connect all their offices and employees. Say goodbye to all the wires, the clumsiness, the complexity, and the huge expense of traditional phone systems. RingCentral is a complete business phone system that has all the features you need without the hassle and restrictions of hardware-based systems. With RingCentral, setup only takes minutes, not weeks. And phones arrive plug-and-ring ready. All you need is an internet connection. RingCentral is also the first and only cloud touch phone system, enabling setup, management, and access from touch devices. Say you have a new employee starting in the morning. You can add them to the phone system with just a few taps on your iPad. You can easily dial coworkers from your smartphone or fax documents from other cloud services like Google or Dropbox. It's like having your business phone system with you everywhere. And with simple, all-inclusive pricing, you get everything you need for one low monthly cost. RingCentral. Phone systems reimagined.
So what I've prepared for you today is just to talk a little bit about RingCentral, who we are, but really spend a lot of time talking about some of the trends that we see in mobility around BYOD. I've got some customer videos and use cases to share with you. And we got here kind of late last night because of the snow, so what was supposed to be a 2-hour drive took 6 hours to do. So we didn't have time to prepare for a live demo, but what we are doing in the vendor lounge is doing demos at our table. We're also setting up business communication assessments after the show, so if you're interested, we'll make sure that Network Center sets that appointment with you. And then what I want to do is make sure that we're super interactive in this discussion since we're such a tiny group, just to keep the blood flowing. I mean, let's just face it, on your last presentation before your first adult beverage. So I want to make sure that we're all warmed up and getting ready for the festivities. But before I go into too much, just a show of hands, how many people have a smartphone device? Okay, so that's like the majority of us. And just out of curiosity, who owns an iPhone? Okay, what about a Droid? Okay, do people use Blackberries anymore? I don't know if I've seen one in a while. All right, and I guess for those of you that didn't raise your hand, does that mean you have a flip phone still or a StarTAC? We're not going to call you out or anything like that. It's just really interesting to see that 100% of us in this room has a smartphone device, and so we'll talk about some of the trends around that. RingCentral, we're based in Silicon Valley, and our sole purpose in life is really to take this on-premise PBX hardware, move that into our data center, and deliver enterprise-class communications to the small and medium-sized business. And what we're doing is we're delivering that communication in the cloud so that we can untether business owners and their employees from their brick-and-mortar locations or their desktops, right? And leverage that smartphone as that business voice terminal. And when they do that, we're allowing and empowering employees to serve more customers and transact more, so they're helping their companies grow. The other thing that we're doing by delivering communications to the cloud is we're eliminating that CapEx requirement, so we're helping you guys hold on to cash. So now we've got employees serving more customers, growing top line, you're holding on to your money and reducing your operating expenses. So really what we're doing is helping you improve your bottom line profits overall. I have a couple of logos that I point out on this slide. Cisco Systems, great company. They are an investor and they also sit on our board of directors. They were trying to target this and SMB market, if you will. And they were trying to build a solution similar to RingCentral. It took about 4 or 5 years of development, millions of dollars later. And what happened was they just couldn't scale their technology small enough and affordable enough for the small business market. So they ditched the project, invested in RingCentral, and on September 27th, we went public. So we raised about $97 million in a day, and our company is valued at over $1 billion. I also point out another logo is AT&T. Some people ask me, well, does AT&T give you the phone numbers? Like, how does this whole thing work? Actually, AT&T was in a similar situation with Cisco. They wanted to go to market with a cloud-based phone service that was internet-based for their small and medium-sized customers. And so they go, do we build this ourselves and spend millions of dollars and years of development to do something that's close to RingCentral, or do we partner with someone like RingCentral and go to market tomorrow? And that's what they did. So they selected RingCentral as their platform of choice, which is what they call as Office at Hand powered by RingCentral is the way they go to market with us. The other thing I will share before we start talking about trends is I started RingCentral about a year and a half ago, February of 2012. We had 250,000 small business customers using our service every single day. A little over a year and a half later, we have 320,000 customers. What that means is millions of people rely on our phone service every single day. We sign up anywhere from 600 to 800 net new customer accounts per day. So we're growing at a rapid pace. What's driving this growth? Well, let's just talk about the new way of doing business and the new world of work. The trends are showing, and we believe, that the way people are going to work and doing their jobs and the way that companies are doing business have drastically changed. And because of this change, it is imperative that business phone systems and business communication systems are delivered in the cloud. That way it can accommodate employees from multiple locations. So whether I report into an office and use a desk phone, whether I'm making calls off of my PC, whether I'm going to my home office to do work, or whether I'm out in the field, it's got to accommodate employees of multiple locations. It also has to accommodate multiple devices. So whether I'm making business calls through my smartphone, whether I'm making calls through my desk phone, it's got to be agnostic to the device that I use. The other thing with business communications, it's got to be instant. I got to be able to add employees at a couple of clicks. I've got to be able to expand and bring all of my multiple locations and my employees into a single centralized phone system. And I also need to have a service that will allow me to pay as I grow. And that's what business communication in the cloud does for our customers. So let's talk about smartphone adoption, and we'll just kind of go back in time for a little bit. You know, there's an app for everything now, right? And I travel a lot for work, so I was on a plane like 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm sitting next to this kid, and he's 12, and he's like, hey, so you have any kids? And I'm like, no. That's a weird question, right? So my only response was, well, do you have a brother or sister? And he's like, no, but I want one. I'm like, oh, well, don't they have an app for that? And he looks at me and I said, well, can't you just download the app and just like, you know, have a fake brother through your app from Russia from somewhere? Or can't you just buy one online or anything? And you know, it's really true. I mean, just my experience coming from San Diego to Fargo yesterday looked like this. Like, get to the airport, I check into my Facebook with my app. Now my friends and family know I'm about to board a plane. I'm about to go to Fargo, North Dakota. Then I'm on my way to the gate. I see Starbucks. I go whip out my Starbucks app. I go and buy a cup of coffee with my phone. Now I'm at the gate. I'm about to board. I'm checking email. I'm in the air. I'm on in-flight Wi-Fi. I'm on my laptop checking email. Then I land. Adam, my colleague, picks me up. I use my GPS smartphone app to get me here safely. And then we're having dinner last night, and guess what? I forgot to do. I forgot to book my hotel room for Minneapolis for tomorrow night. It's like, oh my gosh, oh, Marriott, boom, smartphone app. So I'm using apps on my personal device, so now my device is personalized to me by the apps that I choose to use to make my life easier. So why would I expect anything different from my employer to make sure that I can do my job better for them? So on one hand, I'm an employee that saves my company money. I mean, RingCentral did not buy my Droid. I did. So you multiply that by a couple hundred employees, that's significant savings. But I'm also more productive on the road, so I'm doing more with less. So that's a win-win for the company and the employee, right? Well, then on the flip side, you get 68% of IT decision makers that are fearing the fact that, wow, I've got all these, mobile apps and devices that are being brought into the company, and now I've got customer data, sensitive information that's attached to a personal cell phone number. So if that employee leaves, that could be millions of dollars that just walks out of this company, okay? So there's we'll talk about how RingCentral addresses some of those concerns around risk. And then lastly, I mean, when you go back to your offices tomorrow, or later on this evening, whenever you go back to work, check out how people are using smartphones and their cell phones at work. I mean, when I'm at the RingCentral office, I see a smartphone device on the desk right next to a desk phone. We're seeing that half of the employees are taking work calls from their cell phone, and they are right in front of their desk phone. But if I bring my iPad or my smartphone to work, and whether I'm, a field salesperson that needs a device or not, and I'm just, in accounting or marketing or in engineering or whatever, I'm actually in a conference room with my personalized device. I don't want to be bound to the desk. I want to be able to communicate anywhere, even if it's just in these four walls. In fact, a lot of times when I'm in these meeting rooms, I'll see people just pick up a smartphone, and they'll be texting or emailing or communicating, right, in the middle of the meeting. I mean, right now, and I'm sure in a lot of these presentations, people are just checking in at work just with simple text messaging and email just from their smartphone. So we talked a little bit about smartphone adoption. One of the things that just dawned on me actually 4 weeks ago was the graduating class of 2014. I'm at church like 3 weeks ago at a business networking event, and we were recognizing 8 students from UC San Diego. And a student gets up to the stage and he says, I want to thank the older generation for believing in the younger generation. And literally in the back of the room, my pastor's like, yo, whoa, who are you calling old, right? But it dawned on me because that kid's response was, well, pastor, you were born before the internet. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So these kids that are coming out of college that will be applying for your jobs are coming to work with a personalized device just based on the apps that they're choosing to make their lives and them to be more productive for all of you. The other thing that we're seeing is that more people are using more than 2 devices to do their jobs. So what I wanted to do is just take a poll and figure out how many people in this room use 2 or more devices to do their jobs. Like me personally, I see 1. So I have 3. I've got an iPad, a smartphone, and a laptop. And we also saw earlier that more than 56% of us in this room are using our smartphone devices for work. All right, this is a fun one. So RingCentral has over 300,000 customers that use our service every day. We did a survey and we said, all right, before RingCentral, where did you come from? And 65% of our customers said, well, I came from an AT&T or a Charter or some kind of carrier. And when I moved to RingCentral, You guys helped me improve the way we did business through improved business communication, but you helped us save up to 80% on our telecom expenses. That was 65% of our small business customers, over 300,000 of them. The second demographic was about 18% of them had on-premise equipment, on-premise devices basically, and they were, 7, 8 years old. They just didn't work the way that they do business today. So they went out to bid, and they were getting, proposals for like $10,000 to $20,000 just in CapEx investment just to upgrade their phone system to basically work the way they do business now. So what they said was like, look, we just moved our email to the cloud. We moved all of our storage in the cloud. Why don't we just move our phone system in the cloud? So that was about 70% of our customers. Either we saved them money and we helped them improve business communications. But then we started polling the mobile users of our customer base, and 81% of them said that they use text messaging for business. 32% of those 81% of users, they've actually closed a deal using text messaging. 71% of the 81 said that they actually text message customers, coworkers, business suppliers, and vendors. So people are doing this today. Now, wouldn't it be cool if you can text message for help so that you're not calling an 800 number and waiting on hold for the next available agent to help you? Think about what text messaging can mean to your company and how you serve your customers so that everybody's productive all the way around. So one of the ways that we address the challenges with business communication and BYOD is, from day one, 10 years ago, we designed and built the technology from the ground up for that mobile worker. So what that means is we connect people, not devices. So it gives people the ability to stay in touch for business wherever they want and however they want. One business phone number for voice, fax, and text. The other thing that we do is we extend the business communications platform app, if you will, the management of that, to an iPad or a smartphone. So if you're supporting your business and you're supporting the employees that are using the technology, you can make ad moves and changes on the fly wherever you are, and you don't need to buy a bunch of equipment to be able to, to install anywhere, to be able to manage this remotely for your company. In that sense, we're actually reducing our customers' TCO. And then finally, our scale. Our customers can't outgrow us. We have redundant data centers in San Jose, California, and Vienna, Virginia. We actually handle 4 million voice calls per day, which is approximately 10 million voice minutes per day. And during Hurricane Sandy, we had a bunch of customers in our Vienna, Virginia data center. We moved them over to San Jose seamlessly. They did not have a minute of downtime on our service. So they were still able to transact and serve their customers and do their jobs and run their businesses in the event of that catastrophic event. BOD without the downside. So we get this question a lot. So what's wrong with using people's cell phones just to do work? What's wrong with that? Well, there's really nothing wrong with it, but if you think about businesses today, they're not publishing hundreds of Gmail accounts and Facebook accounts, right? Businesses want to have a single identity. They want to have one email address, they want one URL, they want one identity across all business communications. So that's one of the reasons why we extend the capabilities out to these smartphone devices, just to make it easy for people to do their jobs, and it's something that's easy to pick up. I could use my RingCentral smartphone app just like I did when I bought coffee, or I did my online banking through it, or whether I shop through it. One of the things that is unique about our caller ID feature on our smartphone app really addresses that concern we talked about earlier, where 68% of IT decision makers risk that company information is going to leave with the employee. So what happens is when you download the smartphone app to your mobile device, when callers or users are making calls or texting on it, they're actually presenting the caller ID of the business line, even though they're using their BYOD device or their personal cell phone. So what that means is if that employee leaves the company, now customer information and company data is actually attached to the phone number that the company owns. And now they're routing calls from that RingCentral number that the company owns to the employee or the manager that's taking over while you're backfilling that position. So this is just one unique way that we're addressing that whole BYOD complexity and keeping customer data within the organization. So we're going to go into use cases. Adam, I don't know if you want to grab a microphone or not. I think it's small enough where we can just talk openly, but does anybody have any questions on any of the trends that I just shared with you or anything about the technology? I know I just gave a high-level overview. No? Okay. So this is the fun part. We'll talk about how people are using it. Is anyone familiar with LegalZoom? Do you guys know who LegalZoom is? All right. Okay. Well, Rocket Lawyer just came out of the woodwork, and I'll tell you what was really cool about Rocket Lawyer. They started from the ground up cloudifying their business, and they knew if they were going to gain market share around LegalZoom, they got to keep their costs low. So they cloudified email, they cloudified storage, and they cloudified their business phone system. But one of the things that's really interesting about Rocket Lawyer is look at the buyer, John Whelan, VP of Customer Satisfaction. So our business phone system isn't so technical that it's all about, speeds and feeds to an IT department. Now we're starting to see a business user within the organization make the decision on phone systems. So when they started with us, they had about 40 employees, and they paid as they grow. Now they have over 140 employees using our service, and they actually use us for a DR strategy. So in the event that the internet goes down or they lose electricity in the building, RingCentral's still up. So we're still taking calls for them, and we're routing those calls to cell phones for people that are in their sales office and our call center. When we were competing against Nortel and Avaya, we did an ROI analysis with them, and we did the math, and we saved them 50 to 60% annually just by using RingCentral for their business communication service platform. This is another favorite story I love. We helped a company called Gator Apple. This particular organization is a franchisee of Applebee's, and their go-to-market strategy was, let's grow by acquiring more Applebee's. So they had 43 Applebee's locations across Georgia and Florida, and when they acquired these Applebee's stores, they acquired 43 different PBX systems, which means they had 43 different phone bills, which was ridiculous to manage. And again, look at the buyer. It was the controller, not even an IT person. And so what they did is they moved all 43 locations to our cloud-based platform. They were able to improve the customer experience because when callers called into, the Alpharetta location and wanted to place an order curbside to go, and they called the wrong Applebee's, now instead of saying, I'm sorry, take down this 10-digit number and try again, now the employee says, oh, no problem, let me transfer you, and they're transferring within the store across the city or across the state to make sure that that customer got to the right curbside to go order placer, if you will. So we helped them improve the customer experience. We helped them improve the way they communicated inside the organization. But more staggering, we freed up more than $7,000 a month in cash flow by moving over to our service. And they were going to use that money to invest in sales and marketing resources to help them grow their Applebee's revenues. Pat, do you want to show this video? I thought we could show a little video that one of our customers did, and it's very personalized. It's a Rich Harris, who's a owner of a law firm.
Hey folks, Rich Harris here, Inland Empire-based injury accident lawyer. I have 5 offices throughout the Inland Empire, which is Riverside, San Bernardino County here in Southern California. I travel a lot throughout my various offices and throughout the counties, and I am a RingCentral Mobile Professional subscriber. And long story short, the RingCentral Mobile plan has been exceptional to me. It has saved me approximately $200